One more on retention. Just obviously, when you have a 5-5 season, Sharks are going to circle. Do you have a good sense of your top freshmen, sophomores, guys like that who maybe don't have an NFL decision but might hear from another school that those guys are
Those
coming back?
that's just the way of the world. That's a yearly thing. I mean, but we communicate with our guys daily. That's not something we do just once a year. There's always, but there'll be some guys that you probably expect to maybe leave, and then there'll be some other guys that maybe surprise you. I don't know. We never know. You never know. Those are all real time things as they come about. But we got a great group of guys that I think love Clemson, came here, for the right reasons, and but again, you just react to whatever comes your way.
Obviously, still so much to happen, as you pointed out. With you don't know who's coming and going, high school size. But do you have an idea of a portal size as it stands now?
I mean, we got a few spots.
7, 10?
I mean, I don't have a number. We know we got a couple of spots that we've got to fill, and we've known that. But as far as what that is, I mean, we've led the nation in retention the last 3 years in the craziest time in the history of football. So I would imagine we'll still be right there near the top in the country in retention. I mean, we'll have some guys go pro. We'll probably have some guys move on. But I mean, some guys maybe just want to go play, that haven't really had as much opportunity to play. That's just all part of it. And, we're here to help them. We're here to help them. We got great relationships, and these kids, like I said, they love Clemson. You might have some guys that graduate that may want to go and play. We had a couple of those guys last year, right, that have had a chance to go and play at some smaller schools and have some opportunity. And that's a great thing. Nothing wrong with that. Most of the kids that leave here are graduates, the great majority of them. They want to get their degree here, and then they might move on at some time or another. But, we got to just see how it all shakes out. There's no number. We know right now, like, if everything stayed the same, hey, we know we need a couple of spots, but we'll see how it all plays out.
I saw on one of the preview shows a couple of weeks ago a coach saying, well, in this day and age, I have to cut kids. We're getting kids in a high school class, and they don't work out, and we'll tell them they got to go. Would you ever do that? I mean,
no, man. As long as a kid does what he's supposed to do here, he's going to have an opportunity to graduate from Clemson. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's going to always be that way as long as I'm going to be the head coach. Kid comes to Clemson, he's a good kid. If he's not a good enough player, that's on us. As long as he goes to class, he's a great effort guy. He's a good citizen. It's till graduation do we part. That's just the way it is. And again, we've led the nation in graduation too the last 3 years. So, and for a long time, we've been top 10 academically around here for 14 years. I mean, we've always, that's the number one thing in this program is graduation. And if a kid doesn't, sometimes kids get hurt. Sometimes you have high hopes for a guy, maybe just doesn't develop quite like you thought. But no, that's not who we are. But when we do decide what we need, I'm going to let y'all advertise it for me. I'm going to let y'all tweet it out, and because I don't have social media, so I'm going to have to count on y'all to tweet it out for me. Coach Swinney says they need a boom, and call 1-800, Dabo.com, whatever. We'll need somebody. So I'll let y'all advertise that for me when we get to that point.
Leaving Clemson football. I'm Will Vandervoort. That's Alex Dodd. Appreciate you. Alex is pulling this up on the screen there. Didn't want it to be in dead silence there.
Our program updates like every 3 days now. So we come back on the show and there's like 17 new features that we had no idea existed. Probably as a producer, maybe I should be like checking this stuff during the week, seeing what they change on StreamYard instead of getting here and feeling like I'm a monkey speaking Greek or something. So that's where we're at right now. Will's about to put up on 1-800-WILL that he needs a producer from the transfer portal if I don't figure it out.
Love it, Alex. Love it. No, Alex, I will not trade you, dude. I don't need you. I don't need to go to the portal. Hope you stay. even though Ashby agreed to fill in for you the week you're going to be gone here in a few weeks. So I know you're worried that she's going to take your job, but
I told you that Ashby's not allowed to fill in for me anymore. I mean, I don't have any say over programming here, so maybe I'll go to the transfer portal on my own. I don't know. That's the point we're getting to. I think. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. Anyway, that's Alex Dodd. For everybody that's listening to us, I'm Will Vandervoort. Welcome to Believe in Clemson Football, presented by FanDuel. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Got an interesting show because Dabo Swinney's press conference today, he talked about Furman in his opening statement, and then the rest of his press conference was pretty much about how he's going to use the transfer portal, retention plans. Is he worried about people coming and stealing his freshmen and sophomores? Alex, you name it, it's all over the place. Just a interesting day with Dabo Swinney, and as you heard, some of it there for about 4 minutes of what was asked about, and it started right off the bat, and it went pretty much for 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mailbag today in Dabo's presser. It's kind of what our show will be too. So make sure you're getting in on comments on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. Make sure you're letting us know what you want to hear about, and we'll be sure to get to your questions like Dabo did with the media today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw Dabo wearing his camouflage today. So today was great. It was hilarious. So Dabo comes in before Ross Taylor, and he comes into the press conference and he says, "You guys seen Ross?" And we're like, "No." And so he starts to leave. He's like, "Well, I guess I'll just stay here. There's no sense in going to look for him." So then he sits down where we all sit in the media stuff, and he's just like, so I asked him, I said, "You going to ask a question?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So Dabo kind of blended in with us, and then Ross comes in. Ross had ran all over the building looking for Dabo. And he comes in, and Dabo's like, "Where you been? We've been waiting on you." And Dabo says, because he's wearing his camouflage, you saw there. Dabo says, "I guess because I was wearing my camouflage, he didn't see me." So it was pretty funny. You guys didn't see that in the press conference stuff, but it was pretty good. Dabo was just sitting in with the media and chilling until Ross Taylor got in to help start the press conference today. So I thought it was a very open Dabo, very laid back Dabo. Seems to be in good spirits, Dabo, if you will, today. And it was a good press conference. And I thought he answered the way he wanted to answer, the best way he could answer. Our headline is Swinney not changing stripes regarding the portal NIL. We want you guys to get in on that because what I mean by that is some of the things he said today didn't really sound like, I don't know. there's some things, Alex has his opinion on what he heard. I have my opinion on the way I heard it. We're going to talk about
my theory is essentially, and we'll get to it. My theory is essentially he can say whatever he wants, but he's going to have to. So that's kind of my theory.
Yeah.
So I'll explain that later in the show, but
yeah,
I think, he could have said whatever he wanted today, and it's not going to make a difference in what reality is going to be here in another, like a month and a half. But this stuff really, I mean, you're really going to see if guys are leaving, they'll probably start putting their name in after the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Well, I want to talk about that too, and we'll talk about that later because I have a different theory on that. You might call me wrong, might call me stupid, might not agree with me. That's why we're going to talk about it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, Alex, let's go ahead and talk about our sponsors. I think we need to do that first before we get any further down the road. Obviously, I want to start off with Believe in Clemson Football, presented by FanDuel. Appreciate you guys joining us. But also want to say thanks to the Clemson Insider, the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. Go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com right now, where you can see everything Dabo said on the press conference on all these subjects we're going to talk about. We have it up on the website. We've talked about it ad nauseum. So it's there. It's ready for you guys to look at and see. And Alex, you can go over there and get that. You can get recruiting. JP does some recruiting. Dabo talks about that today as well. We got all kinds of stuff with the Clemson men's basketball. I was at that game last night, wrote a column. That'll be up a little bit later. Ashby was there. So go on over to the Clemson Insider for the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting, as we got all things you need for Clemson athletics. Also want to give a shout out to Smoke on the Water, the all-new Smoke on the Water, which will be located at 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road in Greenville, South Carolina. It will open its new location in December. It's just waiting on a couple of things in the red tape kind of market. If you've had a business or especially a restaurant, you probably know what we're talking about. Those things are getting worked out and tweaked out and cleared up, but they plan to open their doors here really soon. The all-new Smoke on the Water will feature some famous smoked meats it had before, such as its pulled pork, its brisket, its beer butt chicken, and prime rib. But a few things will also be new on the menu as well. It will also have its 5 signature barbecue sauces that will be there to complement but not smother any of its smoked meats. Like before, the all-new Smoke on the Water will have Greenville's best happy hour, and it will feature live acoustic acts as well. Smoke on the Water, owned by Mike Schuler. He ran it downtown in Greenville for years. It's going to be the same kind of Smoke on the Water atmosphere you've come to love and know. So right now, the all-new Smoke on the Water is available for catering and has its food truck. So for more information, call 864-232-9091. Again, the all-new Smoke on the Water, located on 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road, will open in December. But again, if you want some catering, you can call 864-232-9091 for more information. Again, 864-232-9091. We appreciate them as always. All right, Alex, I want you to kind of go into what you were saying there before we went into our sponsors there, and kind of explain what you're meaning.
Yeah, so my theory on kind of Dabo talking about roster construction today, I think he's obviously going to be more open to using the portal. I think him saying, hey, I'll let you guys know what positions we need and you guys can get it out and advertise it. That's different than how he talked about the portal last year. He didn't come into last offseason saying, hey, we know we're going to have to go get some guys from the portal. He just kind of did it in getting the 3 guys that he got. So I think that shows an increased openness for the portal. And I also think he's going to have to use it. There are going to be guys who are going to leave. I think that's why he said that. They said, hey, I'll let you know what we need. We know we're going to need a couple things. I think he's going to need probably closer to like 8 to 10 players in the portal.
Or more.
Or possibly more. Given the decommitments, the guys who are listed as for senior day that came out this week is a long list. And also just given that there are going to be some guys that are probably going to move on and look for other opportunities. That's just the reality of what happens when you have a close to 500 season, is there are going to be some guys who look for other opportunities. And you're probably going to have a lot of coaching changes. And when you have coaching changes on your staff, guys leave because they have relationships with those guys, and maybe they fit in one system and don't like the other system or the direction that you're going with your football program in terms of scheme. So you're going to have to fill spots. So Dabo's going to have to use the portal. I think that's why he demonstrated an openness. And I think there's another layer to that when you talk about his comments today about not willing to pay for unproven players.
Right. And so let's and by the way, you guys want to comment, please get in on our comment sections there. We'd love to hear from you guys. We're going to let them pile up right now before we get to them. On this subject, your thoughts on this. What do you think Dabo's going to do? What do you think he's not going to do? One of the things he said, Alex, today was that he was not going to overpay for freshmen. Now, here's what he said. Okay, I'm going to go and make sure we quote him correctly. This is Dabo in the press conference today. He says, I'm not going to overpay for a freshman. I will pay more for a guy where I know what we've got as opposed to a freshman. I mean, we pay these guys well, but there's a threshold. You can't put yourself in trouble. They are still freshmen. And then he went on to later say freshmen have still never had a peer. They have never lived away from home. They have never had money. I think there's still a level where you've got to be smart with freshmen. Okay, Alex, with all those comments, I'm fine with what he's saying. However, this is where I think me and you disagree a little bit, because I think you still have to pay big-time freshmen. Because if you want to get a quarterback, there's 2 ways to get a quarterback. You got to go to the portal and get one that's experienced, and you bring them in, and you pay him a lot of money, and that's your quarterback. Or you go recruit a high-level quarterback, such as the Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence, but you have to pay them money to get them to come in because there's a value for them now. And if you don't do that, it's going to be hard to develop quarterbacks. So then you're going to be basically Florida State and Miami every year, and you're going to be paying for a new quarterback every year, and you're never going to have any continuity at your quarterback position, which could sometimes lead to some leadership issues and things like that, because your quarterback is your most important position and one of the major leaders in your locker room, if not the major leader in the locker room, right? So it's a very important position. And then there's defensive end, where your best defensive ends you're going to have to go get either in the portal and pay them, or you're going to have to go get them in the high school ranks and pay them. If you're not, if you don't do the high school part, Alex, I'm afraid you're not going to be able to develop them in the way that you want to. And then you're going to have to keep going to the portal every year to get defensive ends. It's not the way that, to me, is not what Dabo wants to do ultimately. But he's saying, we're not going to pay. But here's the thing. The best defensive ends are going to get paid. The best quarterbacks are going to get paid. Well, how are you going to get those guys to come on your roster and to be able to get them? Because if not, you see my concern. What I'm saying is, like, you're going to pay them later. Why not pay some that if you think they're going to be good, why don't you go ahead and pay them, and then you can develop them and put them in your culture instead of having to rebrand them when you get them.
That's a fair point, Will. But also look at the teams in the country that are successful right now, and kind of poll yourself on where those quarterbacks came from and if they were high-paid freshman quarterbacks or not. You got Arch Manning, Gunnar Stockton, Dylan Raiola. True freshman right now, you've got JKS at Cal, Malik Washington. You got Bear Bachmeier at BYU, Bryce Underwood at Michigan. These aren't the best names of quarterbacks in the country right now. They're not guys that you paid for with a lot of money as freshmen. Those aren't the best quarterbacks in the country. The best quarterbacks in the country are guys that are experienced somewhere else, either at the group of six or small power four level that you pay to come into your program to be your quarterback, or a guy like Marcel Reed, who's kind of developed in the system, but maybe wasn't that he was a high prospect out of high school, but it took him a while and they had to take their lumps.
Well, that's my point. What you just made my point.
I made your point with one guy. I mean, Julian Sayen's a freshman, a true freshman at Ohio State.
You make your point with Cade Klubnik. I mean, Cade is still one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He still is.
Arguable. I mean, he's 57th in QBR.
Well,
yeah, but he's one of the mid-tier quarterbacks in college football.
I'm talking about coming out in the draft. He's still going to be. There's people still. Trust me, I know.
He's going to be a later round pick in the draft.
No, I think you might be surprised.
Like around 5.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Then you can comment. Okay, listen. I'm telling you. All right. So I listened to my Steelers podcast, and one of the guys who's on the Steelers podcast is he's a scout basically, and so he evaluates talent and understands this. He's talking about Cade Klubnik still being probably low first-round draft pick. And he says the reason why is because, he started off slow, but look what he's done lately. And he's like, and the scouts, he says, in their evaluation as a scout, when a guy has some trouble and adversity, how does he handle it? And what does he show to them that he can do? Because he's still got the same arm strength. He's still got the same ability to read defenses and all those things they like about him to begin with. How do you handle getting through a tough time? He says, well, Cade Klubnik is the guy you look at and you say, okay, and they talked about this on their podcast last week, so I'm talking to you. This is like fresh information, guys. And he says, when you look at a guy like that, you say, okay, he showed you some mental toughness, some mental fortitude. You take that into consideration in your evaluation. And he says right now he's still not surprised. He would not be surprised to see Cade Klubnik be late first round, early second round quarterback. Because there's a lot of things guys like about him that he brings to the table. So with that said, my whole point is Cade Klubnik is still a guy that is considered one of the top quarterbacks that came through one program.
Right.
And so rewind, hold on a second.
But do you want a guy who's going to be a high draft pick, or do you want a guy who's going to win football games?
Well, that's my point. Well, he would have won football games. It's not all Cade Klubnik why Clemson didn't win football
I'm not
games.
saying that either.
Yeah, I mean, that's not it. But my point being is this. if you go get one, you can't keep doing the Florida State Miami thing and bringing a new quarterback every year. At some point, you want to develop a quarterback. But if the quarterbacks aren't there to develop, you need to go get, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't go get, like, take a chance with, like, a Christopher Vizina, and you're like, well, we think he might be good. No, you got to know that you got a Deshaun Watson.
Right.
And that you just need to develop him a little bit and that he'll be fine. You got to be totally 100% confident that you're doing that. But to be that kind of guy you're 100% confident in could be that quarterback, Alex, you're going to have to pay for him because that means he's one of the best. And that's what Clemson is used to getting, is one of the best. And I use quarterback and defensive end because they're the two most important positions on a football team. And defensive end, definitely you want to get a guy with talent because most defensive ends aren't going to develop as a true freshman. They develop later on. But do you want to have to go to the portal each year to get defensive ends? I mean, Will Helt's great, but you don't want to keep doing that every year.
Right. You may want to get one defensive end in the portal every year.
You might, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I get what Dabo's saying, that you don't want to pay the freshman because you don't know what you're getting. But at the same time, if you want to get the best freshman like Clemson's used to getting, you're going to have to. But here's another thing, part of that, Alex. I don't think they're going to be able to pay for him. So maybe that's why Dabo's giving us that answer. Maybe that's why he's saying, well, I don't know if we can get him. You know, because you got to see what Texas A&M, and I'm okay with Dabo saying this. I'm not going to pay $1 million to a kid, you know, because that's kind of ridiculous money. He's going over market value. Now you're making the market too high. And I get that from Dabo's standpoint too. So it's sort of a catch-22.
Yeah, and I do think eventually, this is probably wishful thinking more than it is based in reality. I do think the market is going to change eventually to where you're paying for experience and proven talent more than you're paying for these freshmen. Like this Michigan model of, oh, you got this investor who's the CEO of Oracle paying, you know, $5 million or whatever to Bryce Underwood to come in as a freshman and go 6-5. Like that's probably not going to be the model forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point it's going to balance out a little bit. But I mean, even look at the top 10. I mean, the best quarterback in the country is who? Is Mendoza at Indiana.
Right.
That's the best quarterback in the country. He's a transfer. Ty Simpson's a homegrown guy. I lost my top 25 here. Julian Sayin, Ty Simpson, Gunnar Stockton, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, and Oregon don't mind going and getting a quarterback. And you've also seen some of these schools that have paid for a freshman quarterback, and he's gone as an early enrollee at the end of spring practice because you have this other veteran guy that you think's better. So, I mean, this is more chess than checkers. Like, these aren't simple answers. But I do think today that Dabo was saying he is willing to pay market value for a transfer more than he is a high school freshman or a high school senior.
Yeah, but
that was part of what I took reading between the tea leaves today.
Okay. But then also, though, it sounded like Dabo wasn't, as I said, going to change his stripes in some ways. Like, you know, Dabo again talked about retention and how they're one of the best. And so the question was brought up, and you heard it there earlier. Question was brought up, like, you know, do you think people are going to come after your freshmen and sophomores? And Dabo's like, well, you know, they're going to do what they can, and they do a good job. And he went through all reasons why Clemson, you know, is able to retain players. And that's good. I'm glad Clemson can retain players, but I don't think Clemson can put all their baskets into retaining players this year. Like I think, you know, as you mentioned, Alex, okay, first of all, you're going to lose a buttload of seniors, okay? You're losing a lot of guys. Antonio Williams, gone. Kay Klubnik, gone. Tristan Lee, gone. Blake Miller, gone. On the defensive side, you know, I'm talking about seniors, not Peter Woods and those guys, but just seniors. You know, you're going to lose a couple of guys over on the defensive side of the ball as well. DeMonte Capehart, you know, he's gone. You're not going to have him back. There's going to be pieces missing on this team just from a senior standpoint. Then you throw in the Peter Woods and the TJ Parkers, the Khalil Barnes that are going to make decisions whether they're going pro or not. Then you throw in the guys, as you mentioned, Alex, that could just jump to go to other programs because they want to get better opportunity to play and things like that. There's going to be a lot of attrition for Clemson football this year. Okay, we just know Dabo's already lost a couple of commitments. Recruiting's not going to be the answer.
Yep.
this year. It's
And
not.
it did sound today like Dabo's frustrated with the recruiting effort.
Yeah, and Dabo did say, "Well, I'm gonna let you guys tell me what I'm gonna tell you guys what we need."
Yep.
Well, Dabo, I already know. I'm just telling you what you need already. I think it's already out there. I think if fans just look at the roster and understand who is leaving and who's potentially leaving, I think the need is there. And and of course at the Clemson Insider, you can go on that because it starts off with quarterback, and that's the first thing we talk about. And we're going to kind of continue to do that series as we go through. So you want to check that out on the Clemson Insider. But Alex, like that is a concern. Like, okay, so Dabo today talked about that, but is Dabo willing to go and pay the money and compete for these NIL guys? Now, I know last year they were able to get Will Helt, Jeremiah Alexander, Tristan Smith. Shows their guys are out there. It shows Clemson did a pretty good job evaluating them because they're all kind of Clemson guys.
And they've got
Clemson.
an opportunity,
right?
Which is a good selling point for future talent.
Yeah. So how aggressive is Dabo going to be? How aggressive is Clemson going to be? That's my concern. And when I heard some of the things today, I heard Dabo talking about it. Then I heard other parts. At least what I heard was like, okay, well, that sounds like the same old Dabo. Like, we kind of like the guys we got here, so we may not need a guy here. I hope that's not happens because who does Clemson have that's going to come back that you're saying? And again, I start with quarterback. You're going to have an unproven quarterback, Alex. You're going to have an unproven running back.
Yep.
You're going to have a brand new offensive line.
And the other thing too is
we've seen Harris Sewell. You got to go get a center.
Well, for like your running back room too, you had two guys that have been hurt all year. Another guy who's played sparingly in Keith Adams Jr. Gideon Davidson is getting more and more snaps every week. I think that's a retention effort by the coaching staff. But just look at the numbers, Will. So on the potential senior day honorees list that Ross Taylor sent out in the game notes today, you know how many players are on there?
How many?
29. Do you know how many recruiting commitments Clemson has right now for 2026? If we're calling a spade, there are going to be a couple guys that are going to fall off that list more than likely, especially with a guy like James Franklin going to Virginia Tech and where some of your recruits are. There's a possibility he could even take some guys there. But do you know how many commits you have right now today as of November 18th?
How many?
19. So you're minus 10 in what you're saying you think you're going to lose by honoring these guys on senior day and what you're bringing in. Right now, you're minus 10.
Go through that list, by the way. Go through that list so people can hear.
The 29?
Yeah, tell us the ones that people would say, oh, wow, we're losing him, that kind of guy. I mean,
yeah.
Throw K. Klubnik and those guys in there too, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll just go down the whole list of everybody except guys who've already graduated so that's the way I'll do it, except
go ahead.
Guys that have already graduated. So Antonio Williams, Cade Klubnik, Tristan Smith, unless he gets a year of eligibility, TJ Parker, likely to the draft, Jaden Lucas, Peter Woods, Wade Woodaz, Kylan Griffin, Capehart has already graduated, Tyler Venables has already graduated, Griffin Batt, a linebacker, Armin Mason, Quinn Kastner, some names that you probably don't know, Peter Nern, Cade Denhoff, Banks Pope, Florenzo long snapper, Lithicum, Casperin, Walker Parks, Dominic Cardone, Tristan Lee, Blake Miller, Tristan Martinez, wide receiver from Honolulu, Zach Jackson, Zaire Patterson, and Levi Matthews.
Okay.
That's the current list. That's 29 guys. Now, just because you hadn't heard of some of those guys doesn't mean that their roster spot's not valuable. You got to fill those roster spots.
Oh, no, you're right. And
19 commits as of today. So unless Clemson's going to hit the warpath when the season ends on the recruiting trail leading up to signing day, or if they're going to hit the warpath between early signing day and late signing day, you're going to be minus 10 at least on your roster. So that's 10 spots you have to fill to be up to the numbers you are now. Not to mention, like we're saying, there are going to be guys who are going to leave. Do you think Gideon Davidson, Keith Adams Jr., Jay Haynes, and name has slipped my mind. The other, Izuzume, There's one more running back in that room. You think all those guys are going to stay
No.
this offseason? There's no way.
But that's another thing. But you just said those names. Which of those guys would you say is an experienced running back?
Yeah. Gideon Davidson at this point
Well,
is
but
the
he's
most
not really.
experienced.
But he's not.
Yeah.
You got an unproven running back.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have an unproven quarterback, so you got to go to the portal and bring quarterback in. You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you think Vizina's the guy, you still got to bring somebody in who can push him and compete and maybe win the job. You don't go get a guy who you don't think is going to win the job, and no, because that's not. You want to go get a guy who's going to push Christopher Vizina or Denson.
Do you think everybody's going to stay in the quarterback room?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know.
If you bring somebody in, do you think Vizina and Dennison are going to stay? I mean, I think Dabo's saying today that he hopes that Dennison gets some snaps on Saturday is another indication that, hey, this is a guy we need to get on the field if we want to keep him.
Right. Well, they want to have some evaluation tape on him too.
Yeah.
That's another reason. And then, you look at running back. Okay. Davidson, you got Eze Ume. Okay. Those are the only two guys that have really played this year. Right. As you said, Alex, you're going to lose a couple of those guys. Does Green stay? Does Haynes stay? Those are guys that have played a lot in the past, but they got injured. Do they stay? Do they go to the portal? Because they're seeing the writing on the wall. Because I think you got to go to the portal, in my opinion, and go find an Adam Randall kind of player, like to come in. And what I mean by that is an experienced running back.
Right.
You got to go do find that diamond in the rough, if you will, like Tony Elliott did at Virginia, to be the running back there and who can push the starting job, because you want to have a guy who understands the role and the position and understands pass pro and all the things you got to know. You got to have that. Right now, Clemson will not have that.
Well, behind Antonio Williams, do you think you're going to be able to keep every receiver in your receiving room?
Well, you hope so, because you
think you're going to be able to keep your safeties that you have now?
Well, that's a great question.
Do you want to?
That's the other question. I think you keep Ronan Hannafin, but is Khalil Barnes going to stay?
Yeah. And I mean, especially given kind of the gain and loss of snaps that you've seen. Will, let's get to some of these questions in the thread. We got a lot of them.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
We'll start with Tiger Paw GT. Doesn't sound like a significant transfer quarterback is in the plans if Vizina is staying. Do you agree?
Okay, it's my opinion. I do not agree. I think Vizina. I think Dabo has to go get somebody. I think Dabo knows that too. I don't think that they're comfortable saying Vizina is the guy. I think they would like to have Vizina come back because he's been in the school system a while. He understands the culture and all that stuff. So obviously, I think they would prefer for him to come back. And if he does, I don't think they're 100% saying he's the starter either.
Right.
Because I think Dabo understands they got to have that. They got to have somebody in there that can push them or could win the job.
Right.
And that's the kind of guy that you need to go get. So quarterback, I think, is going to be a need for them. So I do think they will go out and try to get the best quarterback they can.
A question in here from Ann Flanagan. We will need a whole D-line. First teamers are done in 2 weeks. I mean, you bring back Will Helt, you bring back Jaheim Lawson,
that's what I
Green,
the question is,
Ari Watford.
Is Will Helt coming back? Because Will Helt's he's good. You hope he come back. I don't know where he is in the draft grades. He's a junior, remember, so they could lose him. I think you're more worried about losing Will Helt to the draft than you are. But then again, if he's only like a third round, fourth round guy or lower, he's going to make more money coming back. So, it depends on how much Will Helt likes school. Keep in mind, guys, when the NFL draft is involved, it's not always about money. It's about, do they like school?
Well, it's about, do you like school?
I can tell you, like guys like Martavis Bryant back in the day, Martavis Bryant hated school. And that's why he went to the draft.
Yeah.
That's why he went in. So it had nothing to do with money. His was strictly based on, so it's not always monetary reasons why guys go and come.
Well,
so,
and there's another factor too, Will, is, you don't want to waste your prime. Like there are very real concerns on that front. It's like, hey, if I'm going to get, even if I get $1 million signing bonus and I'm going to get a contract to be able to play, like I'm drafted in the third round or something, and I feel like I'm at my prime, I'm healthy, like I don't necessarily want to waste that. Going back.
I think they got to go. I think they've recruited the interior of the line as they've been doing. Alex, as you mentioned, what coaching changes happen depends on what they get in the recruiting because you got Stephon Green coming back. You know, he's going to be a stud there. You got Vic Burley, I believe, coming back still. He's still progressing. I think, you know, he's gotten better this year, and I think we'll see more from him going forward. We'll see anyway. Let's just say that. But he's another guy. I think Will Help probably will come back. And then you're going to have Lawson. So you may have to go, in my opinion, you got to go get another defensive end, maybe two. Depends on, but it also depends on a guy like Mayo, who they really liked how he's developing. Like, is he to the point where next year he can come in and be helpful as well? So that's going to depend on who they go get in the portal as well. I don't think the defensive line is totally like, oh my gosh, it's done. It's like they're horrible now. I think there's still pieces in there, but they're going to have to go get some other pieces maybe to help with depth and things of that nature for the defensive line. So we'll see in a few weeks what's going to happen there. Oh, by the way, I wanted to take this out before we get the next question. You mentioned, like, how many guys are going to go in the portal before the bowl game? That's a great question. How many are? Or who will? Because the portal doesn't open until January 2nd.
Right.
Clemson's not to play in the bowl game more than likely before January 2nd.
Yeah.
So why not stay and finish at Clemson? Because you can't enroll.
Injury risk in a meaningless football game.
But you can't enroll until January 2nd. So if you leave Clemson before January 2nd, you're just going to sit around doing nothing.
Or you're going to go work with your trainer.
Show themselves.
Or you're going to work with your trainer. You're going to meet with your agent, and you're going to be talking to coaches. I mean, let's call it what it is, Will. The portal doesn't open, but it's not like there's no communication.
Yeah, but they can't enroll. They can't enroll.
Right. They can't enroll, but that recruiting process is still going.
But they also get paid. Keep in mind, once they enter the portal, they no longer get paid.
Yeah.
How much of that is benefited as well? Those
are another number I didn't bring up.
That's something that needs to be. It's not just as easy as, oh, I'm quitting the team and going in the portal. Some guys might need that money.
Yeah. Well, another thing I didn't mention is actually Clemson will be minus 11 because I didn't mention Shelton Lewis. You've already lost one player.
You've already lost one player. Yeah. That's right.
So you're actually minus 11 on your roster spot. Andrew Feldman gets in and says, I think Dabo will use the portal far more than before. I think he'll bring in 10 to 12 or 12 to 15 transfers. I believe multiple coaching changes on both sides of the ball, including OC. The biggest issue I've seen is offensive line and play calling has been terrible at best. I think your numbers jive with what I think Clemson's going to have to do. Mm-hmm. I don't even think it's a want or a desire or, maybe we should. I think it's going to –
if they don't, they're in trouble.
Yeah, you're playing
if
down.
Dabo doesn't bring in at least 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm thinking. I think we're
all in agreement. If you don't bring in 10 to 12, who's playing for you? Are you getting Are you doing tryouts to get people on the team?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what you're doing if you don't get 10 to 12.
Yeah. I agree with you. But again, some of the comments he said today talking about the retention and the high school and how he doesn't it gets you concerned. It's like, okay, Dabo, I get it, but like, I love that guys graduate from Clemson. Right?
Yeah,
we
but
love
also
that.
you have to think about this from the other side too, though, Will. Season's still going on. Portal's not open. Dabo is actively trying to retain guys on his roster today. So you're not going to say today, yeah, we're going to go out and get these big fish in the portal to get your guys to go ahead and say, hey, maybe I should just pack it in for these last two games and get ready to go to the portal because they're not going to need me anymore. Like, you got to think about it from that angle, too. Like, you're not having portal conversations with the media saying we need this, this, and this on November 18th when you've still got season to play and guys you're trying to keep.
Right.
So that's another thing I'm thinking about. Coleman Mullen says Dabo saying a 3-star quarterback can be better than a 5-star on the college field. I get it. I mean, yeah, Chandler Morris, Mendoza.
I get it too, but that's a big risk because if you're wrong, and let's be honest, it's harder now to evaluate than ever before.
Yeah.
Because of the way the world is now, and people are using the transfer portal more and stuff like that.
I mean, these recruiting services too. This is another thing. Nobody talks about this. I haven't heard anybody talk about it in this portal NIL era. These recruiting services, are you telling me that there's no agents working for high school kids who are trying to get them ranked higher in these recruiting services so they can get paid more money? Like
You know
this is a business. I mean, that happened. Things like that happened before the NIL and transfer portal.
Yep.
You have people working behind the scenes to move people up in this recruiting service business. So those ratings today, honestly, I would say there's more volatility in the recruiting rankings than ever before because there's monetary incentive for guys, their families, their agents
Well, here's
to get them ranked higher now.
And that's the dilemma Dabo and every coach in America's in. Do you want to risk going to get a freshman and giving him a lot of money and then he leaves a year later and you gave him all this money and then he goes someplace else? Or do you want to go into the portal every year and have to get a guy? And that's the question. And it's a tough question to ask. And so, yeah, I agree with what they just said there. Like, maybe you got to get a 3-star, right? And bring the 3-star guy in because you know he's going to stay. You go get the Christopher Vizina because you know he's going to stay for a couple years and you're going to be able to develop him and maybe he does turn into something that you know that's worthwhile and all. And Christopher Vizina might be the answer at quarterback. But we don't know, Alex, because we've only seen him for one game. And it was against Duke, who's a horrible defense. So, like, we don't really still know. Like, I would love to have seen Christopher Vizina against Florida State. See how he handled that and the different coverages they put out. Because Florida State still has some talent in their defense, right? Like, I would love to see him against South Carolina if we could. But we're not going to see that because you want to win the game, obviously. So you're going to put your best guy out there, right?
Yeah, you're 100% right. There are a lot of people who are getting in here asking, what's Clemson's budget? That kind of thing. Will, what's the sentiment that you're hearing from, I guess we'll call them the invested parties in terms of the fundraising effort for 2026? Because there are two ways it can go after a season like this. One direction is, hey, we had a horrible season. We don't want to see this ever happen again. We're going to spend a lot of money. The other direction is we're disillusioned with the direction and we're not willing to break out the big bucks.
Yeah, I think the disillusional is gone. I think Clemson people understand now they have to, help financially if Clemson wants to be back where it was. And the good news, here's the good news. First of all, you got IPTAY, okay? So IPTAY, here's the good news with IPTAY. It's absorbed. It's going to, they're pretty much the 110% society. And they're going to basically, if you want to, an IPTAY, you can say, I'm going to give the IPTAY, this much goes to the scholarship fund, this much goes to the 110. Okay.
Yeah.
You just dictate how much you want to, which one you want to do the most to or whatever. Right. The good news is IPTAY has more donors than any other booster club in America, which gives Clemson a little bit of an advantage there because the smaller guy helps more than other schools' smaller guy does. However, with that said, it's still not enough. So, yeah, they need the big-time boosters and things like that. How many does Clemson have? I don't know. I do know this much, Alex. Clemson doesn't have the billionaire boosters like that. Yeah. They don't have they have some, but they don't have them as many as other schools have.
I mean, you got the CEO of Whataburger. You got Hooters. And
well, yeah, you got a couple.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't have there's schools that have, multiple. They have a bunch more, like Ohio State, for instance, would. Schools that have a lot of doctors and lawyers as their alumni, that helps too, because they have more people with more money that have bigger pockets. Clemson just doesn't have that with engineers and our agriculture people. Just doesn't have it. So that's a concern. However, Clemson's able to handle the money from a red share standpoint. Clemson's going to be fine there. Okay. Yeah. That's not going to be an issue with Clemson. The issue is the NIL money. Yeah. That's where the concern for Clemson is. That's where Clemson cannot compete.
Well, and the other thing is that everybody wants to talk about the 5-star quarterback they want to pay $5 million for, or Darian Mensah getting his $8 million deal at Duke or whatever. What people don't talk about where NIL makes a real difference is when you're in a recruiting battle and it's like, hey, I kind of want to go to this place, but if you give me a little bit more and you can give somebody $5,000 more a year, and it helps them be able to get over the hump in a tight battle with another school.
Here's where
and that's the place where it really hurts you that nobody talks about is in those small battles like that.
Here's what Clemson's trying to do, and they're going to do. You're going to see them do a lot of this because it's still about their culture and what they do. And Dabo's big on that, and I get it. Will Helt is a perfect example. You don't think Texas A&M didn't outbid Clemson for Will Hill last year?
Mhm.
Of course they did. Clemson ain't got the money Texas A&M has, not even close to it. But the reason they got Will Hilt was because they got close enough, and Will Hilt liked Clemson more. So you find the kids that still going to that school is important to them. I talked to DeAndre McDaniel about this before the season started, and he talked about how he talks to a lot of kids about, like, make sure that you like the school you go to when you make your decision. That's still important because this is where you're ultimately going to be. So you don't want to go to a school just because you're chasing the money, and then you get there and you don't like the coach, you don't like your position coach, you don't like the school, and you're miserable. Yeah, you're getting the money, but you're not happy. So what happens? You ultimately get in the transfer portal and you go back to the school you wanted to go to begin with. So why do that? Try to get in a situation where you can get the money you want to get that you think your value's worth, but get that and pay attention to what school you really like still. That needs to be a major concern with these kids even the kids that are entering the transfer portal. Go to a school that you like. Don't go to school just because you make more money or you get more playing time. Try to pay attention to how much you like that position coach, how much you like that head coach, how much you like the culture and the program, how much you like the school. That's why Clemson got Will Hilt. That's why Clemson got Jermaine Alexander. It's definitely why they got Tristan Smith, right? So you kind of go with that, and I think Clemson can find guys like that, like a Will Hilt, who is a big-time player, as we all know. I think they can get more of those if they try. It's just going to take a lot of evaluation, a lot of talking, and making sure you're getting the right kid, because Clemson doesn't have that NIL money. They got some, but they don't have that kind of NIL money to compete with Texas A&M and Texas and Georgia and Ohio
Texas
State.
Tech.
I mean, Texas Tech. They don't have that kind of money. SMU. Clemson ain't got what SMU has when it comes to that kind of money either.
Yep. Rob Ellen gets in today's times, we have to recruit against Texas Tech. I bet Dabo competed against Texas Tech 0 times in the last decade.
That's right.
I bet the only guy on your roster that probably had an offer from Texas Tech, probably Cade Klubnik.
Texas Tech is maybe Texas Tech or
a serious offer. I mean,
Harris Sewell probably did.
Yeah.
He's from Odessa, Texas, so he definitely had one.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's like a suburb of Lubbock, if there is such a thing.
Right. Exactly. So,
if you can have a suburb of a desert
Texas Tech, though, Alex, Texas Tech is like the Los Angeles Dodgers of college football right now.
Yeah, and it's working.
It's working. I mean, all of a sudden, Texas Tech is just, what I would like to do is like maybe try the Indiana formula. Like what's in Indiana? I know he brought a lot of kids over from James Madison, and that came with him. That helped. But his quarterback he's got now, Mendoza's not. Like what is Indiana doing? Like, kind of look at that. Is it because Indiana is not throwing a bunch of money at people. So, but kids are going there, and they're that. And see, here's the thing: Dabo has, and I think Dabo can reinvent himself.
Yeah, me too.
I really believe that he can. Dabo,
and I think he's going to. I just think there's reasons why he wouldn't say on November 18th, "Hey, we're changing our philosophy." But he has talked. I mean, he talked again this week about trusting his instincts.
But what does that mean? Does that mean he trusts his instincts? Like, was somebody telling him not go to the transfer portal? I don't think that was the case.
No,
last
but
year.
I think it has to do with the way you compete for players, the way that you recruit, the types of guys that you go after early in the process. I think it's things like that, because the types of guys that Clemson goes after now, I mean, they're not necessarily the same as the guys that you went after in 2014. There's kind of some different players in the mix now than.
But what does that mean, those instincts? Because Dabo's instincts, from what you just said, he went the opposite of that last year with Dabo's instincts.
Right.
So what does Dabo's instincts mean? Because if
maybe
Dabo's
his instincts are telling him now that he needs to go to the portal.
Because there was nobody last year telling Dabo not to go to the portal. There was nobody telling Dabo not to go compete to get this guy. No, we were all telling him to do it. So what does he mean by that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, Rob says recruiting, coaching hires, and play calling.
Yeah, I don't want to get into coaching right now, guys, because the Jimmies and Joes are so important here because I think that's all going to be kind of one and the same. And what I mean by that is, does Clemson maybe need to make some changes? Absolutely, coach staff. I'm not saying that. But you guys got to understand the Jimmies and Joes are just as important, if not more important, than the coaching changes right now. And I think this is more, and that's what the whole topic was going by today at his press conference, because I think a lot of us realize that he's got this roster next year is going to be revamped. It's going to be a brand new roster for the most part if he does it the way we think he should do it. And I'm interested to see what Dabo does. There's a lot of concerns I have on how he tries to build this roster for next season, because he's got to be aggressive in the portal. He's got to be willing to pay a little bit more money. And the rule, Alex, here's my concern. You got Stephylon Green. Well, you got to bring in another defensive tackle. Okay? But if this other defensive tackle is really good, he's equal to or better than Stephylon Green, I want Dabo to pay him. So is Dabo going to say, well, is he going to revert back to what he did before? Like, well, I don't want to bring in a guy who's going to make more money than a guy I got currently on the roster.
Well, how did Dabo pay Will Helt versus Jaheim Lawson?
Will Helt didn't make more than the TJ Parker.
No, I'm saying than Jaheim Lawson.
But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about capable. Listen to what I said earlier. Yeah. A guy who's capable or better than Stephylon Green. They're both the same. They're either the same or he's better. Dabo's basically said he's not going to pay a guy to make more than I already got that guy on that roster like that. But see, that's what he said in the past. I'm just going.
Yeah, he didn't say that today.
He didn't say that today. He said that in the past.
He did not say that today.
But so I'm clear. Yes, I'm glad you clarified that.
And he was asked similar questions today than he was asked when he said that, and he did not say that today.
And but my concern is though, like if Dabo's going by his instinct, that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay, well, Dabo, you're gonna have to pay these guys a little bit more money. I don't care if Stephylon Green's feelings are hurt. It's professional ball now. Alex, I'm going to make more money than you because why? I've done this longer. Right? Is your feelings going to be hurt because they're going to bring me in? I'm going to make a little bit more money than you?
Yeah, honestly, I'm personally offended. I need to Are you trying to get me to go in the transfer portal? I mean, are you trying to?
But I mean, that's the way it works in a job in the real life.
Better than me as my
when they go to the NFL, Alex. When they go to the NFL, there's a guy they're going to bring in a free agency that's probably going to make more than they're making.
Right.
You don't think Jalen Ramsey's not making more than the Duggar for the Steelers at safety? You don't think Jalen Ramsey's making more money? Of course he is.
Right.
You don't think Jalen Ramsey's not making more money than Joey Porter Jr.? Of course he is. You know, because you have to do that. You know, you have to go get those guys and pay them more money. And you have to start telling the guys on the roster, I'm sorry, guys. If you don't like it, there's the door. But this is now almost a profession. And we got to go get the best guys that are going to help us be able to win because that's the nature of the business. Yes, I want guys to graduate college still. We want all those things to happen still at the same point. But you're going to have to go get some guys and pay them a little bit more money than maybe what you're going to pay the guys you retained. As important as those guys that you retain are, I think it's just as important to bring those guys in from the portal and make sure they're happy. So let's just say, for instance, I'm not saying pay a defensive tackle $1.5 million, but let's say he offers $800,000. He wants $800,000, and Dabo's paying Stephylon Green $700,000. Are you going to say no to that guy just because he's making $100,000 more? He wants $100,000 more than Green. That's the point I'm making. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's another point I have to this too, Will, and we talked about this a little bit on the show over the last several weeks as well. If you think about this rev share as cap space, you're freeing up a lot of cap space this year. Your highest paid players by far on your roster are all gone this year.
Right.
And Antonio Williams and Capehart and Parker and Woods and Klubnik, like those guys are gone. So you freed up more money in the rev share. You can still pay a guy more than the guy that you're bringing in and pay that guy well when you free up that much cap space. So you can redistribute the wealth this offseason to where you can be competitive in a transfer portal recruiting battle You can be competitive for a younger guy and still maintain somewhat of your ethic of paying a guy more, even
Look,
if it's $1 more.
Clemson's going to put the money in to compete competitive and compete, guys. That's going to happen. I'm not worried about that.
And they have
problem
cap
is-
space this offseason. They have
Yes, they do, because of who's leaving. The
Yeah.
problem is, how are they going to use that money? That's my concern. Is it going to be used to retain guys that are they really going to help you? Or is it going to be used to – and listen, I'm not saying keep the guys that want to
But
stay
here's the
there.
thing, Will. You
I'm
don't
just
have a
saying,
$3 million guy on your roster right now, do you? Do you have a $3 million guy on your roster?
Yeah, you got a $3 million guy in the roster. Where's number 2?
No, I mean for next year.
No,
not for
right
this
now.
year.
No.
I'm saying for 2026, do you have a $3 million guy on
Everything
your
that we
roster?
think happens, you do not know.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm saying you don't have a $3 million guy, so you're not going to be paying somebody that. How much money does that free up for you to be able to offer a guy in the portal? I'm saying
The money's going to be there.
and
Again,
you can be competitive and still
But
value
Alex-
retention and value your current players. I think you can actually balance those things with the veteran guys who are making.
but
low
how
premiums.
much are you paying the retention guys?
You're not going to
compared
pay
the
anybody
guys you
$3
bring
million.
in?
You're not paying.
No, I
Vizina
know
what
what
you
you're
pay
saying there.
Klubnik.
But if you're going to go get a quarterback, you're going to have to go pay him like more than you paying Christopher Vizina. Is my point.
Right. And I there's no doubt in my mind. Maybe this is delusional. I just don't think Dabo's not going to pay a guy more than Christopher Vizina if he wants another quarterback.
Listen, I just said before, I think Dabo will reinvent himself. I think Dabo Swinney will be the modern day Bear Bryant. I think he will adjust. And I think he will get it done, and he will take off, and Clemson program will get back to where it needs to be. I believe Coach Swinney can do that if he wants to.
Right.
I really do. But right now he's worrying me at the same time because he says some things like he said today. And that's where
I think maybe if you ask him after graduation or you ask him on signing day, that you'll get a different answer.
I wish I could just talk to Dabo just like, maybe me and you just get him outside the parking lot like before, like we've done in years past with things. That's when I get the real answer.
I'm going to be in Death Valley on Saturday. You're going to be in Death Valley on Saturday. If we
Alex,
need to walk over
if
to
we
the
do get that, we can't report it.
But we could say something like, I got a strong feeling that Rob jumps in and with what I've been trying to get out of Will the whole show. Finally, a shred of hope from Will. It was negative Nancy for the first 56 minutes, but at minute 57, he changes his tune.
What else we got? I know before we get into our pick six and maybe a little bit Louisville review, what else we got?
We've had a lot of kind of people bouncing back on the same topics and talking with each other. Meditating Monkey mentions that Wesco, Moore, and Gideon are your big money guys on the roster right now. I don't disagree in terms of the offensive guys. He says $3 million, not sure, but those are your guys. And then you've also got some guys on defense that you're going to
I think you got to do everything to make sure you keep these guys. Okay, here we go. TJ Moore.
Yep.
I think you need to do what you can to keep Tyler Brown.
Yes, and that's going to be hard.
He hasn't played much. He hasn't played much, and but you need Tyler Brown next year because you need that experienced veteran guy in the slot, right?
Any of the tight ends because you never throw the ball to them.
Yeah, I think Bentacure. I think you do. I'm with you. Also Pat Henry, also Brookings, who they really love. I think you got to make sure you're keeping those guys happy. Obviously Bryant Wesco, because he's coming back from injury, but dude, anybody who watched Bryant Wesco play, they're probably like, man, if we could get that guy, other teams are, because Bryant Wesco, he ain't gonna have a problem running.
Yeah.
that guy's he's lightning, dude. He's like one of the fastest people we've seen. And so I think wide receivers and stuff like that, definitely Stephylon Green, Jaheim Lawson. I think a guy like Mayo.
If you could do something to incentivize Will Helt not to go to the draft.
Will Helt is a guy you got to incentivize.
Like Will Helt's a guy that you offer heavy during the pre-draft.
Jermaine Alexander, Sammy Brown.
Yeah.
I think I think you got to try to keep one of those other guys too, like a McLeod and stuff, because you got to have depth. You don't want to lose depth at linebacker because you're already not very deep anyway. So you don't want to have to be in a situation where you got to go get 2 or 3 linebackers out of the portal, right? So that's a concern to get guys to come back as well. So there's a lot of needs, right? Even at kicker, you want to make sure you keep your guy. I mean, he's a Clemson guy, And Hoosier loves Clemson. We know that, his family, but you still want to make him happy,
Yep.
right? You still want to make him happy. So those are things you got to worry about. What else we got, Alex? Anything else?
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Tiger Paw GTS, retain Amari Adams as a priority, question mark?
Yes, thank you. That's the one I forgot. That's a guy who you think can be really good. As he's shown some flashes here and there. He hasn't played much all year, but he's played a little bit more the last couple of weeks because of injuries. So I think that's definitely a guy you want to retain. You got him and Stephon Green starting. You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Now you got to get a couple. You got to get somebody to back up. Make sure Vic Burley, as I said before, he's starting to play a little bit more. You're seeing him a little bit more. He's healthier. I think he's still a guy that can be a really good football player if you could continue to develop him. Some guys take longer than other guys. Offensive line, you got to bring in a couple offensive linemen, I think. I know a couple of these freshmen they feel real good about. They're going to be better, and these are going to be Matt Luke's guys. Offensive line has just been horrible this year, except for the last couple of weeks. They've done really well. And then, of course, bam, you lose Walker Parks and you lose your true freshman there, who, by the way, I think is another guy you got to make sure you keep. Yep. Elijah Thurman's another guy you got to make sure you keep because those guys would be difference makers if they could play. But, when you lost Jacobs, look how good Clemson got running the ball on the left side of the line the last few weeks.
Yep.
That's going to be a big loss for them. So, yeah. All right, Alex, let's do this. A little bit of Louisville, first of all. We just talked about injuries, Walker Park.
That stupid football game that happened last Friday night. I will say one thing, and I think all of you in this chat would agree, and everybody listening tomorrow will agree as well. Today for you, but tomorrow for us. It's pretty fun when your college football team wins on Friday because you just get to chill and watch games without a worry in the world on Saturday and make fun of other teams, man. That's a fun feeling when you win on Friday. You don't have any anxious. I don't know what you could be referring to. I think there was one game I was watching where a coach said something like in the first quarter. He was like, "Yeah, we beat this team by 24 last year. I don't know why anybody, is surprised that we're winning this game." And then walked out like he was celebrating winning the national championship at halftime, and then proceeded to not score in the second half. I think that happened in one of the games I was watching.
And did you see what that same coach said today to the media?
Nobody was celebrating.
No.
He said that Saturday.
He said they will this time next year they will be competing for the.
Yeah, he said we'll be watching the playoff release show, anxiously awaiting our ranking.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, I don't know what team. At this rate,
why is this guy? Look, whether that's the case or not, I'm glad.
At this rate, it's possible. There are a lot of people in your fan base that don't want you coaching for your team next year.
And there's nothing wrong with Shane Beamer believing that. Okay. And he could tell his players that and stuff like that. Dude, after what you just did last weekend, when you're talking about how you're beating the crap out of Texas A&M and you were going to win, that you're celebrating with your fans and you're doing all that, you don't come out and say this the next week. You keep your mouth shut and just do it. Because now if you don't do it.
You know what you say after that? You say, hey, man, I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about Coastal Carolina. He did say he was in the state playoffs. South Carolina's in the state playoff.
If they win, they Clemson plays.
South Carolina finally made the playoff. They made South Carolina state.
They're playing
playoff.
Coastal Carolina.
They're playing in the lower state this weekend against Coastal Carolina, and then they'll play. If Clemson's able to win the upper state championship against Furman, they'll play in the state championship. Hey, and it's at the same place that they always have played the state championship at Williams-Brice Stadium. So. Oh man!
Oh, that is great.
I like Shane Beamer as a person. Like all things aside, I think he's a great person. I think he's a pretty good football coach. Has distinct disadvantages by being at the program he's at, but there's no business talking about playoff.
But just keep that to yourself, man, and your team. Don't say it out loud. It's just like after what happened just last week, you don't say. If you would have won that game, then yeah, be boastful. But you didn't win that game. Keep that to yourself so people don't make fun of you, man. People are making fun of South Carolina all over the place, and maybe he'll throw egg on their face next year, and they will do that. Who knows? But my whole point is, like, that's something you just want to keep to yourself if you believe that. It's great to believe it, but keep it to yourself.
Yeah, Rob Ellen gets in and says, how sad was Beamer that Franklin went to Virginia Tech?
Yes.
He was probably, like, calling them on Saturday night, like, hey, are you guys still interested? Like, hey, we actually, I don't know if you watched College Game Day this morning, but we got a better option. We got a guy that's actually won something. Other
Oh
than
man!
rivalry
All
games.
right, so well, what were we talking about? The Louisville game. We gotta get back.
Yeah, Louisville.
Yeah, get back. We digressed.
Friday night football.
Friday night football.
Another
okay,
high school football
Let's
record.
just call it what it is. Clemson was very lucky. Clemson should not have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, neither team should have won. Both teams.
But Clemson really shouldn't have won it.
Yeah, I mean, Louisville got gifted a touchdown in the first half. Their first touchdown was not a touchdown. It was a touchback. It was fumbled out of bounds. I'll go to my grave believing it. No part of his body was on the ground.
But that's not why Louisville lost. Or why did Louisville actually lose the game, though?
Oh, Louisville lost the game because they couldn't kick field goals or extra points.
Right. But also
because when their offense got into the plus red zone, they got penalties, they got sacks,
got pushed back,
negative
just
plays,
total bonehead things they were doing, and that's why Clemson won the game. Listen, Clemson caught a break because they sure as heck haven't been catching any. Because Clemson should have won the Georgia Tech game, Clemson should have won the Duke game. So we get it, right? Like, it happens. It's football. However, do we need to be concerned, Alex, on the defense, on the offensive side of the ball, that now that Bryant West going there, that teams are recognizing it and they're like, okay, we're just going to keep everything in front and make Clemson have to triculate down the field, and we know that can't happen?
Well, I would say that to some degree, but at the same time,
I mean, there's no vertical passing game.
Clemson has shown the ability to dink and dunk its way into the red zone. They've proven that all year. When teams play deep, they've been able to dink and dunk their way in the end zone. What concerns you is that for whatever reason, when Clemson gets in the red zone, you start calling 7 wide receiver screens, reverse pitch.
All of a sudden, you go to the Rob Spence play. It's like Garrett Riley was.
It is the Rob Spence playbook. It's like he's watching 2008
Dude, this
highlights.
Is what I think happened. This is what I think happened. This is what I think happened because Garrett Riley wouldn't know who Rob Spence was in regards to Clemson. So I think what's happening, he's sitting in his room. He's sitting like in the film room, and he's bored, like he's watching Furman film or something. I don't know. And he's bored, and he's like, he's like sitting there in the off season. He's bored. He's like, opens up this drawer, and he's like, and it's like it says Clemson offense authored by Rob Spence, and he pulls it out and says, "Oh, what's this?" And he looks at it. He's like, "Man, look at this! Look at this tunnel screen." Look at this, man, 5 wide, and you throw a screen out to the wide receiver, who doesn't have enough people blocking. Look at this.
Let's throw a screen when the numbers are.
I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this playbook. I'm going to use some of these plays in our playbook, and we're going to institute them. That's almost like he found Rob Smith's playbook by accident and started using it and thinking it was good stuff. Like, come on, dude. Like, and Texas A&M offensive coordinator found it too against South Carolina late in the game. Because he calls for the screen out there to the sideline behind the line of scrimmage, by the way. Like, what are you doing, guys? Stop overthinking things. You got Adam Randall, who's averaging 8 yards a carry. All right, Clemson's getting a good push up front all night. What are you doing? Louisville hadn't stopped you in those kind of situations the entire night. And when you get in the goal line, you're like, you know what? I'm going to pass the ball now. Or let's run Peter Woods. Let's run on 3rd and goal. Let's run Peter Woods up the middle and have Peter Woods dive over the goal line, which you never do on 3rd and goal if you're running back. You know that. But that's why you don't give the ball to Peter Woods.
And on 4th and goal, let's have our quarterback revert to 2 years ago where he runs the wrong play on 4th and goal at the 1 yard line and just start doing his own thing again, because that was so much fun 2 years ago when we watched that happen. So let's watch it happen again. But there were some good things that happened in the game. The defense did step up. Once Louisville moved into the territory. Yeah. That was good to see. That was kind of vintage.
Khalil Barnes tried to step up a couple times.
Yeah, problem was he stepped up and tried to tackle like this, and that usually doesn't go well.
Yeah, that's another thing. Can we talk about that real fast? That's another thing. When you learn to tackle guys, Alex, whoever taught you to tackle like this?
Nobody. That's how you get planted.
What are we doing? What are we doing, Clemson defense? What are we doing?
Well, I just didn't think there were going to be 2 tombstones that came from the game. Like, obviously, Clemson got the tombstone that it gets to put out in front of the football facility for beating a ranked team on the road. And then there's a tombstone at, like, the 15-yard line at Cardinal Stadium. Here lies Khalil Barnes. passed at the hand of Kewan Brown.
Okay, Alex, who got it worse this weekend? Khalil Barnes.
I'm sorry, Khalil Barnes. I don't
No,
mean to dunk on
who
you
got it
today.
worse this weekend? Khalil Barnes or Barrett Carter? Who got it worse?
I don't know, dude. Khalil Barnes got tombstoned twice. I mean, he got buried twice. I think Kewan Brown at a certain point in the game was like, dude, I don't even care about scoring touchdowns
Alex,
anymore.
I
I just
was
want to see where
worried-
number 7 is so that I can put him on his back.
I was worried for Barrett Carter's health. It looked like he got thrown. Like, he literally looked like he got thrown. I mean, if you watch an up-close picture of that, all you see is Barrett Carter's face, like, just like, and he knows something bad's about to happen. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how you don't know if you watch football, but Barrett Carter was thrown like a rag doll by Pittsburgh's Mount Washington, as they like to call him in Pittsburgh, Donnell Washington, as he just threw him like a rag doll.
Dude, he wasn't the only one.
No, he threw 2 more guys.
Yeah. I mean, that was
play.
another instance of a football game where somebody was like, dude, I don't even care about scoring. I just want to collect teardrop tattoos instead. So
Anyway,
yeah, that was tough to watch. But the defense did step up when it mattered most. I mean, the missed field goals, I mean, it's not like they missed 2 chip shot field goals. Those were long field goals. One of them was with the backup kicker, and it was, still a pretty long field goal, even though it was the shortest one I think that he had attempted on the year. The offensive roller coaster continued, but Clemson deserved to get a break. I mean, let's call it
they
what it is.
deserve the break.
Clemson
no
hasn't gotten any breaks all season. Like, every 50-50 call has gone against Clemson. Every, moment in the game where the ball bounces one way is bounced to the other team. Like, Clemson, if there was any point in the year where Clemson deserved some breaks, it was this one. I mean, they deserve some breaks, especially after at the beginning of the game. It starts out with Louisville being gifted a touchdown on a ball that they fumbled out of the end zone. And you're like, here we go again.
Right.
But Clemson finally got some breaks at the end of that game. It's like the football gods were like, I'm sorry. I also knew when Louisville missed 2 field goals and an extra point that there was no way Clemson was beating Georgetown in basketball. They sacrificed the basketball season just like they did in 2016. They've sacrificed the basketball season. But this time you did it for bowl eligibility. The first time it was for a national championship. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it was worth it to sacrifice the basketball season.
Yeah, but I'd say this much, and this is some more good things. Adam Randall running the ball.
Yes.
That 46-yard run in the fourth quarter was huge to set up the winning touchdown.
And he's been due for a run like that. I mean, just with the way he's been running all year, he's due for a breakaway run.
Absolutely. I thought Walker Parks on that. Dabo mentioned this today, and I didn't think about it, but Walker Parks is from there,
Mm-hmm.
and his last game was in Kentucky, and he's playing against Louisville, whose dad played against, right? And so his dad played at Kentucky, and so and then he has the biggest block that sets up the game-winning touchdown. So then he got hurt after that. So it's kind of like, God don't say oops, right? I mean, the biggest things happened for him. And so I didn't think about that till Dabo said that today. That's pretty good. Darn it, Dabo. Why didn't you tell that on Saturday? That would have been, that was Sunday or Friday, whatever day it was. That would have been a heck of a story to write that day when it happened. So but Walker Parks played good. I thought the offensive line overall played pretty good. There were a lot of good things that happened. I thought Kate Klubnik played well. He took what the defense gave him for the most part, other than his one bonehead play that he made at the end in the fourth quarter there.
When it mattered most, potentially.
Yeah, but he threw the ball well, made great decisions, very decisive with his passes. So
finished plus in the turnover margin.
Yeah, you had a plus. Avion Terrell making a huge turnover that really changed the game there because it's 9-3. They're losing. They need a break. And he makes the break. They get the turnover there. He saw the ball was up high, and he's like, I can take that out. And he did. He took the ball right out. And Clemson needed that. And then what happens on the very next play? 25-yard touchdown by Adam Randall, running off the left side, right up the A-gap, dude. And it was like a wide-open hole. and then he ran over their linebacker. Nobody talked about the guy he ran over.
Well, it was kind of a scared tackle, so he just caught like a piece of him. It wasn't the same as
If you saw Adam Randall running at you, wouldn't that be a scared tackle too?
I think if I saw anybody running at me,
Adam Randall's a big dude. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I think Adam Randall's gonna make it in the NFL as a running back. I really do.
I think there's a good possibility. I mean, he has the physical build, he has the skill set, he has
can
the
do
acumen.
And he can catch the ball in the backfield.
Yeah, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can block.
Yeah.
So he has all the tools.
I think
it makes you really wish that you brought Adam Randall in as a running back at the beginning of last season.
Yes.
To be your number 2, because I think if you did, then I think you're in a completely different situation when you get to December of 2024. If you had,
you don't lose. You probably don't lose to South Carolina. You probably don't lose. You may not lose that Louisville game. I don't know. Louisville, they couldn't stop the run, just like they couldn't in this game either. But it is what it is. But
you did stop the run in the fourth quarter.
You did. I think
you just had a miserable, no good, very bad third quarter.
I think Qualk says they have 7 carries for 2 yards. Yeah. Louisville did in the fourth quarter. So when Louisville was trying to run the ball to get in field goal range or to get better position field goals, they couldn't run the ball.
Yep.
You had several tackle for losses and stuff like that. And then, by the way, Sammy Brown, heck of a sack.
Yeah.
Making a big play, knocked the guy out.
Who had a great game that I haven't heard one person talk about this week was
Sammy Brown.
Kay Denhoff had a great game this week.
Kane Denhoff has played well all year.
Yeah.
He really has. He
gets a lot of mess from Clemson fans on Twitter, and I really don't understand it. But
I hate to say it out because those guys don't understand football. If you watch Kane Denhoff play and you watch him really just play, he actually has been very productive when he's out there. And now he's not going to make the splash plays, but he's played better than TJ Parker all season.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has. So, by the way, Louisville, you want to know what side Louisville's running the ball to every time? They were running the ball to 3 side. Every time.
Yep.
They weren't running to 13, and when Clemson switched it up, they tried to run on the other side, and that's where they had to run into Peter Woods and Devontae Capehart because they'd like, oh man, they had no choice because they were running over there. And Peter Woods was able to swallow them up and make plays to help his boy TJ Parker out. But when TJ Parker was out by himself, where on the other side, on the left side, they were just, they would run opposite Will Help almost the whole game.
Yeah,
they didn't want anything to do with Will Help for obvious reasons. Parker is the weak link in the run defense, and they know it. Teams know it when they play him.
Yep.
So
100%.
Parker's got to get better if he's going to play in the NFL.
Yeah, and he's still in every mock draft as a first round.
And by the way, I will say this though: he did rush the passer the best he has all year.
Yes, 100%.
As bad as he played against the run at times the other night, he rushed the passer very well. He pressured the quarterback a lot, and I thought probably played his best game at pressuring the quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. Do we want to talk about Furman?
Nah.
Do we just want to
This is what I'm going to say about Furman. Clemson, you just got to go out there and take care of business.
Yeah, this is a team that's 6-5 overall. They're 4-4 in the SoCon. They're really young. They're inexperienced.
This is their last game.
This is their last game. They beat VMI to kind of punctuate their season and finish 500 or better. Offensively, they scored 500. They scored less points offensively on average than they give up defensively, and that kind of shows how their year's been. You ought to be able to move the ball at will, get guys reps, and hopefully you can work out some kinks.
I think this is a good time to work out some kinks on the offensive line, get some guys some reps, some of those younger players on the offensive line that need to help out now that you've had these injuries. This is a good opportunity to do that before you play South Carolina in the season finale.
It's going to be so much purple.
Kate Klubnik's last time in the Valley. You want those guys to go out on top.
And there's going to be so much purple in Death Valley.
Why is Clemson? Somebody asked me this.
I asked you that. Why are they doing the all purple game against the purple team?
Yeah, why are they doing military appreciation? Why didn't they do military appreciation against Florida State?
Yeah, but now you're doing all purple against purple team. It's going to look like the biggest Furman home game in the history of the world.
Of the history of Furman football.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
It's way bigger than Serene Stadium. Or Fallon Stadium.
Just
or
don't wear the orange pants. That's all I say.
They're not. They're for what? What were they wearing the orange pants for?
Well, to get bowl eligible. You never know. Dabo's changed things up.
Oh
this
my
year,
gosh,
Alex.
he is going to do it, isn't he? No, they posted on Twitter and on Facebook and everything else that we are wearing the orange, purple, purple. They posted it on everything.
They're wearing the orange, purple, purple.
Orange helmet, purple, purple.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Even though I hate the all purple, they look like Barney.
Yes, and Stephen Leslie is a slightly different purple, but I mean it's still a lot of purple. You're not going to be able to tell a difference.
It's still a lot of purple. It's a lot of purple. All right, Alex, pick 6 segment. Let's go.
All right, let's talk about last week. Finally, from the Lord, has to be. I finished better than Will in a week.
First time ever.
First time ever. I went 4-2. Thank you, Brent Venables in Oklahoma. I knew you had it in you. And Will went 3-3. Thank you, Brent Venables in Oklahoma.
That was the difference.
Yeah, that's what you get for picking against Brent. Will has improved to 43-29 on the season. I am now over 500 again.
Second time.
Yep, at 37-35.
Don't mess it up this week. No pressure.
I'll try not to. I will say in our pick 6 is kind of interesting. I don't really know what to do because there's no spread for Furman Clemson, obviously, because it's FBS versus FCS. So I guess I'll pick another game. Which
we have to. We're not going to pick that game, even if it was a 45-point spread. Clemson going to cover? No, probably not.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'll figure it out. Let's start out with Coastal Carolina at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 23.5-point favorite after suffering massive heartbreak.
Are you really doing this game? Are we really doing this game?
They're preparing for the college football playoff in 2026. Will 23.5 for the Gamecocks?
Yes. If they don't cover the 23.5, then they've quit.
Yep.
Don't you? I mean, it's not like it's a good Coastal Carolina team.
Yeah, it's like a very average Coastal Carolina team.
So Carolina should cover the 23.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking Carolina with the 23.5, despite the heartbreak. I was kind of trying to bait you into a have they quit or not.
Well, we'll know if they don't. If they struggle in this game, we're gonna know. I think.
I could make this like the dumbest pick 6 week ever. I could have put like Georgia and Charlotte and Ohio State and Rutgers and everything. I did not do that. Just wanted to give the appearance.
Oh, this is SoCon week in the Southeastern Conference.
Yes. And in the Atlantic Coast Conference, at least for Clemson.
At least for Clemson, yes.
Yep. The next one is Louisville at SMU.
Oh, good one.
The Mustangs are a 2.5-point favorite. Vegas loves that number 2.5. I've learned that this college football season.
Give me the Mustangs at 2.5. Even I don't think Louisville has nothing else to play for. They're not very disciplined. SMU, I think they're still playing for an ACC championship, even though they got to have some things happen, but they're still trying to play for one. I just like SMU here, especially with that 2.5. Always take the home team when they're getting only 2.5 points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking SMU in this one for the same reason. It's like such a deflating game for Louisville last week. Your quarterback's out here questioning the culture of the team.
He ain't wrong.
And he's fair to question it, but like he said, those aren't things you fix week to week. You got to fix that in the offseason.
Yep.
The next one, USC at Oregon. Oregon is a 9.5-point favorite in Autzen Stadium.
9.5?
Yep.
Give me the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, I'm quacking with you on this one. Oregon's playing too good a football. These are the kind of games that Lincoln Riley teams just absolutely crumble in.
Southern Cal doesn't have a defense still. I mean, it's still a problem.
Yeah, it's the same problem with every Lincoln Riley football team for the last 20 years.
It's the same problem with Southern Cal for the last 50.
Yeah.
Ever since Pete Carroll left. They haven't had a good defense since Pete Carroll.
Yeah, 100%. The next game, a top 25 matchup in the ACC, or actually it may not be a top 25 matchup anymore. I haven't looked at the college football playoff rankings tonight.
Okay.
Pitt at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 2.5.
Definitely not still one.
Yeah. Georgia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite on the flats.
And the Yellow Jackets can clinch a berth in the ACC championship game with a win.
Yep.
So, and they came back.
Pitt has everything to play for in this game too.
Pitt's playing for an ACC championship as well. If
they win,
Georgia
Tech,
and they got a chance to beat Miami and get in.
Georgia Tech had a little bit of look ahead last week, and so
I
did
think
Pitt.
they did.
So
And
did
with
Pitt.
that, because of the two, Pitt did not have a look ahead. Pitt played Notre Dame. I think Georgia Tech, the 2.5 points again, playing for a championship. I think, give me the Yellow Jackets. I think they stamped their ticket to Charlotte.
Yeah, same here. I think if this spread was 3.5, I would be tempted to take Pitt, but because it's 2.5, I think Georgia Tech wins by at least a field goal. The next one, BYU is a 2.5 point favorite at Cincinnati. In the weirdest Big 12 football game ever played.
Cincinnati lost that game last week, right? Lost a heartbreaker, if I'm not mistaken.
I cannot remember. Let's see. Yeah, Cincinnati lost last week 30-24 to Arizona.
Yeah, I think they lost like in the last minute or so of that game. I remember.
Yep.
BYU, were they off last week? I know they got their butts kicked by somebody. Was that last week or the week before?
BYU got their butts kicked on November 8th at Texas Tech. They kicked TCU's butt at home last week.
Okay. Yeah, give me the Cougars on this one. I think 2.5. I think that's fair. I know they're at home and they're on the road and they're favorite by 2.5, but I like BYU. I think they'll win by at least a field goal and win this game.
Yep, I think you're right. And the last one, another weird one. This is a weird week in college football. Miami is a 17.5 point favorite at Virginia Tech.
Is James Franklin coaching Virginia Tech?
I think he probably is going to be there.
Why can't he coach though? Like, I mean, he's the new coach now. The season's not over.
Yeah, I don't know if you come in and coach like.
I know you don't know the players and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe he's just preparing to coach against Tony Elliott right now.
Miami is 17.5 point favorite. It's a rivalry game, sort of, right?
Yeah, old Big East.
Yeah, old Big East. They used to play for the Big East title all the time.
It's a big spread.
It's a huge spread.
And Lane Stadium is going to be like unbelievably packed because it always is. But
yeah, I think this game. I'm going to go Virginia Tech because I think this game.
They got mojo. They got like juju.
They got some. They got some mojo, and I think that they'll at least only lose by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it'll be like 31-17 or something like that. Miami.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of game that Carson Beck just absolutely just starts throwing to guys who are standing right in front of him or something.
This would be a Miami kind of game to lose.
Yeah.
And if Cristobal loses it, does he stay on as the head coach?
I mean, I don't think so.
So he's a Steelers guy, so I don't want him to lose in that sense because I don't want to. But I don't want Miami to go to the AC Championship for another reason. You know what that is, Alex. I won't say it publicly, but you know why it is. I don't want them to go. So personally, I don't want Miami to go. I got nothing against Cristobal. Cristobal's a Steelers fan, man. Like the guy. Came up to me, pumped fist, says, go Steelers to me. We're brothers, man. He's brother with you too now. Alex. You're part of Steeler Nation. So, so I like Cristobal personally. So it's nothing with Cristobal, trust me. And nothing to do with, I know people probably think that's Dan Radakovich. Nothing to do with Dan Radakovich either. You guys will never know what it is, but trust me, Alex knows what it is. I've talked to Alex many times about it. So.
Hey, here's what I'll tell you. Rob Ellen gets in and asks, what's the money line? Current money line on FanDuel. All of our odds presented by FanDuel. Our podcast is presented by FanDuel. Virginia Tech money line, plus 680, $10 bet to win $68. Rob, if you want to get in on it.
There you go.
And then Rob also gets in sellers to the U. A lot of rumors on Twitter.
Depends on if the U wins this game.
But why would he leave when he can go to the college football playoff next year at South Carolina?
Is that why? Oh, I didn't think about it. Maybe that's why Beamer's out there saying that.
Yeah.
Because Beamer, you ain't going to college football playoff. You ain't got that guy.
Yeah, and who are you going to hire as your offensive coordinator?
And then who are you going to bring in to be your quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, anyway. Is that our 6, Alex?
That's our 6. We've picked them.
We both picked Virginia Tech there?
We both picked everything the same.
So right, the same all the way down. So here, I'll go
back or just dying every day.
Let me do a quick rundown for the fans out there because I know they care. Coastal Carolina at South Carolina. We both put took South Carolina minus 23.5. Louisville at SMU, we both took SMU minus the 2.5. Southern Cal at Oregon, we both took the Ducks at minus 9.5. Pitt at Georgia Tech, we both took the Ramblin' Wreck at minus 2.5. BYU at Cincinnati, we both took BYU minus 2.5. And Miami at Virginia Tech, we both took the Hokies at plus 17.5. So there you go.
It's been picked. Hey, and I'll see you guys potentially this weekend. I'm going to be in Death Valley on Saturday, coming back home. It's going to be fun. If you see me, say hello.
Are you going to wear purple?
Yeah, it's neutral color. All the media will. You can wear a purple shirt and say you're neutral.
I got my already got my Pittsburgh Steelers military appreciation hoodie. Came in the mail today. So I will be wearing that on Saturday because I wear Alex, I wear my military appreciation hoodies every year. I got 3 of them and so I'm gonna wear that one on Saturday, and so I'm looking forward to it. It's really cool. It's a fleece one. It's really nice, Alex. I say go tell Rachel to splurge on you and go buy you one for Christmas. Okay. Maybe I'll splurge on you, Alex, and buy you one for Christmas. There you go.
Hey, there we go. That sounds good.
You like Alex says that sounds even better.
You can give it to me in person this weekend.
Well, I don't think I can get it to you in time. I can get it in time now. But anyway, regardless, it's a really nice hoodie. You'll see it this weekend. So I'll be wearing it on Saturday. I think you'll see me on Saturday. You gonna be tailgating? Is your dad coming?
No, he's not coming. I'll be with the in-laws on Saturday. I'll be at the Will Vandervoort pregame show Friday night.
Yep, another one. So me and Sturge, if you haven't seen that, me and Mark Sturgis do a show on Friday nights previewing the home games each night from Lakeside Lodge. Come over and join us. We appreciate having you guys there.
What time does that start over there at Traditions on the Lake at Lakeside Lodge, Will?
Yeah, 6:45 p.m. If you can't get there, you can watch us on Facebook. It'll be on Facebook and stuff like that. So you can hear it. You'll be able to find us.
And I'll be making a guest appearance in the audience.
Alex will be making a guest appearance in the audience. He's probably the guy heckling me.
Yeah, probably. I'll be like, "You're an idiot."
What do you know? You suck, Vanderbilt.
You don't even know how many points per game Furman's offense scores.
You're right. So I'll do my homework a little bit then because I am a professional, and you still have to be prepared for the game itself because there is a football game, and I have to cover the football game. So I'll be prepared for that, obviously. So, but man, that's been pretty fun though. It's like glad to kind of a little different show this week because of the way the press conference went today with Dabo, which I kind of figured that's the way the road we were going to go down today, just because it was Furman. Next week will be all about South Carolina.
Hey, we've got big plans for you. It should be a really fun week, is the hope.
Yes. A really fun week for Clemson Carolina game. With that said, we hope you guys will join us next week. For Alex Dodd, I'm Will Vandervoort. We'll talk to you next time on Believe in Clemson Football.